Hey guys, what's up? I have a special treat for everyone here in the studio, aka my office at American Real Estate Experts. We have my friend Jonathan Golden, who is the VP at California Best Title Company. So, what is California Best Title Company? What is VP? And why are we here? That's what I
What?
kind of want to answer, and
Yeah,
John's going to help me. So, thanks for
sure.
being here, John.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for the invite. Yeah, California Best Title Company is a title insurance company, and we insure real estate transactions. Whether you're refinancing or selling a property, you need title insurance. If you don't, then you're going to run into problems down the line. And I'm the vice president of sales at the California Best Title in Glendale. So we have a couple different offices throughout the county in California. We specialize in California because California best.
Very cool. So,
Yeah,
um, you obviously know what title is. I know from a broker side and a lender side, I know what title is. But for somebody who maybe doesn't know, or it's their first deal, or it's been a while and is wondering, like, what is title insurance? What is title,
right.
on a property?
Yeah, not a lot of people know the buyers and sellers. They just sign the paperwork and they're like, oh yeah, whatever. But yeah, title insurance is one of the crucial parts of the transaction. We do a title deed search on the property. So just like the best example I've come up with and I've heard is you buy a car, you get the Carfax report, right? And you got all the previous owners and all the problems and all the service records of the car. Title insurance is just like that. We have like a record of all the previous owners, all the liens, property taxes and liens and judgments from the previous owner. So we take a look at that and we transfer the property to the new owner. So say you're selling your house to me, I'm going to do a title search and make sure everything is good, and then we'll record the document. So, but
Oh,
yeah,
so you
that's
guys are actually the ones who basically take that house. Like, let's say I have a buyer and they're buying the house. It's not their house, not their house, not their house. And then at one point it becomes their house. You are part of that point. Once we get all the way to the end and once it switches
yeah.
owners officially, that's what title does.
Yes, yeah. So we make sure that there's no fraud going on, like you're selling your grandma's house or faking signatures. So we'll do our due diligence there and make sure that there's nothing wrong with the property. Because if there's someone suing you, there's a pending litigation. That means then there's a court action on the property, and that gets recorded. Because if there's a court action or a lien or judgment, that needs to get cleared prior to selling the property. So you can't just sell a
Oh, okay.
property. Yeah, so that's why people get all the way to the end, about to record, and then they don't pull the prelim. We recommend, like, as soon as you get a listing, pull the prelim, and then we could do a search on the property and make sure that everything is clear and good to go. Because yeah, sometimes people, they're not holding the title correctly, not in a trust, or someone dies, and you can't find that person, you can't get us a death certificate, then that's another problem too. So there's many different scenarios on.
A lot of stuff that can happen.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that can happen because you just, someone will have a will. And I mean, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but
It's all
there's
good.
so many things that I'm thinking of that
That
people
can come
don't
up. Yeah.
know. And there's every transaction is different. I mean, refi is pretty much a slam dunk because they already own it, and you
Hmm.
do the title search and you pay off the mortgage, and then record a new deed of trust.
So
That's
title is basically, from what I understand, it's like a pink slip to a car.
Yeah,
It's says who owns this piece of property.
right.
And then title insurance is something that a buyer's going to purchase or a borrower's going to purchase if they're doing a refi. Um, in order to make sure that there's nothing funky with the ownership, that nobody can come back and say, hey, no, that's actually my
Yeah,
house, or hey, I did work on this house and now you owe me $50,000 because the previous owner didn't pay me.
exactly. So yeah, you're getting insurance on the property, and then any claims that come up, that we've missed, or it's very rare. I haven't been involved in any claims, thankfully. But yeah, I've heard of other title companies, they insure something and then, they miss an owner or miss a deed or a lien, and, they got to pay that. So it's a one-time fee. It's not like homeowners insurance every year or every month. It's just a one-time flat fee, and then that covers you for life, until you sell it.
That's a good thing you bring up. So that's what I was going to ask you. Say I'm like, nah, I don't want insurance. Like, I can go look it up myself or whatever. Do you have to have title insurance in order to buy a property?
Yeah, I mean, and they say it's optional, but it's really not. If you're getting a loan on the property, you need title insurance because the loan won't fund without the title insurance. You
Makes
could do an
sense.
all cash transaction. I see a lot of land deals because they're cheap. They
Mhm.
just use escrow, or they just go, "Hey, Andy, you want to buy my land?" And then we just meet up and sign the papers. But that
And
never
say
works
that
out.
land, yeah, say that land in 10 years appreciates like $100,000. You bought it for 10, and all of a sudden, the path of progress is going that way. Now it's worth 100, and you didn't do your title insurance, and you didn't make sure that it was 100%, you know, yours. Then that can
Mhm.
cause some major issues for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you do a quick claim deed, they call it, there's a grant deed that gets recorded with a sell or a refi. But the quick claim is when you just add someone to title or transfer it. Say, hey, Andy, here's my house, and I sign it over to you. Quick claim deed. It's uninsured deed, so it's uninsured transaction. It didn't go through us. It just went straight to the county, which you can do. People do it all the time. Add your mom, add your sister, brother, but sometimes it's not a good. It's a good thing, but it's sometimes a bad thing. It bites them in the butt because they go to sell and they're like, "Well, I don't want to sign that document. Give me $5,000, or give me,"
Ah,
or maybe
so it
they're
might be all
dead.
friendly at first, and then after,
Yeah,
once they see there's some money available, that's when the problems start. So,
yeah,
title insurance, title, it's the pink slip, it's the thing that shows ownership. Title insurance, it's for the buyer. When you're going to buy a piece of property, you get that in order to make sure that there are no claims against your title and that it's
hmm
clear and there's no issues, so that you know exactly what you're buying and you actually own exactly what you're buying and what you think you're buying, right?
yeah, correct. Yeah, I used to work
Okay.
in the payoff department in title. That's how I kind of got started. So what we would do is we get, the whole paperwork, the file to record, to set up to record, and I would pay off all the mortgages and liens and property taxes to the house. So everything is paid off in full. And then, that same day that they, send the document to the county to get recorded. So that's what the payoff department is in the title. We'll send all the money to the mortgage, and then also we'll send the proceeds. So whatever you have left over, we'll send it to escrow. So that's why when
Okay.
title is confirmed, escrow's like, "Where's my wire?" And then the seller's like, "Where's my money?"
So
So
you're basically the final step. So with everything on the line and everything at risk for not getting title insurance, what is a typical cost for title insurance? What is, because from my understanding, it's not that much compared
no,
to the risk of not having it and then something going wrong.
yeah, I mean, I could pull up a price point real quick.
Let's
Just
go
like
with 750.
750. Okay, put me
Yeah,
on the
so the
spot.
price, or a million, whatever's a simple number that we can calculate.
Do $1 million.
Yeah, let's do a million and
So
see what.
standard owner's policy, which is the seller's going to pay for, is 2,200. The buyer will pay, a loan policy, and
Mhm.
that's going to be like, $1,100 or twelve hundred
So you
dollars.
mean the buyer doesn't have to pay for the entire policy?
The buyer pays the loan policy, and then the seller pays the owner's policy. That's how it works in California
Oh, okay,
and
nice.
SoCal. There's
So there's
different.
really no reason not to get title insurance. It's not like you're having to pay for the whole thing, whether you're the seller
No,
or the buyer. Like,
yeah, and they
you
bundle it
split it.
up. Yeah, yeah.
Nice,
So yeah,
nice.
the seller pays for the owners, and the buyer pays for the loan policy. So
Very cool. And what um what have you seen? recently, or what's some of the, tips you might have? One of the things that you mentioned, which was really good. So for anybody who's not working with us, make sure your real estate professional pulls the prelim.
Right.
That's what you were mentioning earlier. So talk a little bit about that so we can make sure some people get some value, and whether they work with us or not, they can tell
Right.
their real estate professional.
Yeah, I have clients, new, old, been in the business a while, or just got into the business, and most of them, they do not open the prelim. I recommend it. I'll just do it anyways. If I know of the listing and they're my client and they got it, I'll just do it for them if it's a repeat client. But typically, yeah, I recommend it because you have the prelim, but also you want to run the statement of information on the seller. So
Okay, so my next questions are going to be
yeah,
a brief description of a prelim, something simple, and a simple definition of what the statement of information is.
Yeah, the prelim is what we do a title search on the property. We go back, I think it's like 20 years or so, and we make sure all the transfer has been done correctly. If there's a transfer that's been done wrong, we cannot insure it. You probably have to go back to the same title company that insured the last transaction. But yeah, basically we just make sure that there's, what's showing on there, like the deed of trust, the liens, and then it shows the property address and what we're willing to do, like what we have to do to clear and insure that property. So we're giving you here's your prelim and here's what we need to clear.
And by doing this ahead of time, it sounds like you're ensuring that it's going to be a smoother transaction, because if there's issues that you guys can identify way early on, then we won't have issues coming up to the closing day when everybody's stressed out and wondering why we haven't closed yet, and et cetera, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, a typical thing is the property's in a trust, right? We're going to require more documentation. So we're going to need a copy of that trust. Some people have the trust, they lost it, it's old, the attorney's out of business. So we need a copy of the trust and a trust certificate as well. So that's.
And if they can't find the trust, is that something they would get at the courts? Is it something that
it's a case by case scenario? We could look at the previous transactions too, like maybe they did a refi, had it in their names, then transferred to a trust. But yeah, we really need to see that trust, because there could be other beneficiaries in there. Like you could be, say you got inherited the property through the trust. But what if you don't have a copy of it?
And my long lost cousin comes and says, I was on
so you might have to go back to court for that.
Makes sense. And that would be handled through probate?
Well, you would have to go to like a probate court or hire a real estate attorney, but we can always give you advice too. We could look at the file and then also just say like what you need to do step by step, or guide you in the right directions to close it. Yeah.
And full disclosure, we are not attorneys. We are not tax professionals. So anything we say, verify it with your guys' professionals.
Do that little
for entertainment
disclaimer. It's right there in the 2 font at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And then the other question was about what was the other thing you said? We said, what was a prelim? Oh, the statement of information. What is that?
Yeah. So, we'll issue the prelim and that will show like all the liens and judgments, and, you see like child support pop up. Maybe you're like, hey, I don't have any kids. We'll fill out that statement of information, and we can sometimes eliminate items that pop up maybe from
that are obviously not yours. Yeah,
or a common name. So some people have similar names, similar last names, and then they'll get tagged on there by default. But we could take that statement of information and we can go ahead and clear that, because maybe there's something, they didn't pay their car, and Ford is trying to get their money back. They're going to put it on the property too.
And then I'm going to put you on the spot. Mm-hmm. What happens if, something stays on there, some type of lien, and then the house gets sold? That just goes on with the seller, right? That goes away?
Well, we have to
or
clear it. We have to clear it.
or does it stay on the property because the liens stay on the property regardless of who the new buyer is? And the answer
Yeah.
is, of course, the latter. So if you don't get this stuff cleared up, it doesn't just go away. It will stay
Right.
with the property.
And you can accept some things. There's a couple of exceptions like building violations and, you know, but it's a case by case scenario. Like typically the building violations I see, like, buyers are just like, whatever, I'll take it. You're like, all
Yeah,
right.
it's up to them. But yeah, like you said, case by case scenario. So, um, last question I have for you to
Mhm.
wrap this up is, where do you think the market's going? I forgot to mention that Jonathan
I'm just kidding.
that Jonathan is also an investor, very successful investor, and he's always looking for deals. We're always looking for deals. So, where I have to ask that question, where do you see the market going? What does your crystal ball say?
I'm kind of slowing down, just pump the brakes a little bit, just seeing what kind of where things happen. But save your money, pay off, make sure you have all, no debt, no credit card debts, no Ferraris or anything, house payment cars. You maybe have one or two of those, but don't get
Oh yeah,
crazy.
that's true. Jonathan's also a car enthusiast. You know what, you guys, we're gonna put all his descriptions and stuff in all of his stuff in the description, so you can check out some of his videos. Do you still have videos coming out? Have you
No,
done anything
I kind
recently?
of, no, not lately, but I've been
Well, you
wanting
can
to.
see some good videos from before. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
save your money. You're pumping the brakes, so that tells me that you're anticipating some deals coming at some point, maybe in a
Yeah, I
year,
see
maybe in a
I
couple
mean,
months. Who knows?
yeah, a lot of deals happen. I've picked up properties end of the year because there's no competition, during summer, I try to buy it during 21 and it was just like they wouldn't return your calls and you go with the listing agent, it doesn't matter
Wow,
because
all
they're
the
just
all the listing agents were getting very spoiled at that time. Where are they now?
yeah,
60
yeah.
days
So
on market,
now
90 days on market. They're calling you back.
exactly. Exactly. So I think yeah, people are a lot of people are getting out of the business, which I'm always you got to stay in one thing and just focus, ride the wave. But I think yeah, it's definitely slower than the last few years. But I think it's going to continue to go steady because there's not a lot of homes being built, and there's
That's
a lot
true,
of
and
people.
that's absolutely true. That's something that I've put out a little bit of, but I'm going to go deeper into, is that we do not have enough housing for the amount of people that exist here in LA County. If you're
Yep.
looking at stuff on the news, if you're looking at stuff online, a lot of the times it gives you national numbers and national averages and national this and that. But I mean, most of everybody who's watching this lives in LA County, in the Valley specifically, or in Santa Clarita. So let's look at our numbers, and then that will give you a better idea of what you should do, because it's based on, where you're at, not the average of the entire country.
Right. Yeah. So I think, yeah, you just gotta, just go back to basics, just live a, normal life and just, I met this Chinese billionaire. He said, stocks, real estate and index funds. And that was it.
Wait a minute.
So
Did you say billionaire with a B?
yeah,
Oh man, why didn't I get an invite to that meeting?
it was like a 2 second, like it was like a side conversation I heard him talk about. I'm like, what should I do with my money?
Very cool, very cool. Well, I'm sure we're gonna do this again. I really,
Yeah.
really appreciate your time,
Yep.
and say hi to the wife and kids.
Yep. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. So
Later.
I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. I'll see you.
Good night.